Ultimately, what will history say about the BBI? Will history tell us that reggae was finally stopped by the judiciary? That is the nagging question on the minds of many Kenyans, which we are going to dig into very deeply on our show today. But first, I need to give you a heads up. I have a message at the end of our show today that I think you should pay a little attention to. It is for those who seek a deeper understanding. Yeah, so don't miss that. Now, talking about a deep understanding, this whole BBI issue, I've listened to many analysts. I've listened to lawyers. Nobody, understand to be corrected, nobody is yet to address the political reality in Kenya, concerning the BBI and its future. If any. Oh yes. In my view, it is prudent to understand. I mean, this thing that has just happened, the High Court declaring the BBI unconstitutional, has happened in a country called Kenya. And usually in Kenya, our analysts have a very short memory. Most prefer to stick to the excitement of the moment. And they end up ignoring things that are very important. Let me take your minds very briefly back to 1st September 2017. The judiciary, the Supreme Court, the highest court we have in the land, issued a landmark ruling nullifying the election of President Uhuru Kenyatta as President of Kenya. Now, if one were to use the parameters being used for the current analysis right now, the conclusion would have been the Jubilee Party is finished. Uhuru Kenyatta, the presidential candidate, is finished. But is that what happened? You will remember the Supreme Court and Chief Justice David Maraga were very clear to the IEBC. And they told them, if you do not bring back a free, verifiable election carried out according to our constitution, we shall not hesitate to nullify it again. Supporters of Raila Odinga and ODM were over the moon. Celebrations lasted for days. Because all this coming from the Supreme Court was music in their ears. But what happened? The IEBC brought back a second election that was worse than the first. But this time round, the Supreme Court said it was okay. It is good to get excited, but it is even more important to keep your feet firmly on the ground and firmly on political reality. To understand Kenya, in my view, one needs to look at two different rulings on the presidential elections by two different chief justices and their Supreme Courts in order to understand totally the political reality in Kenya. And I'm talking about 2013 and 2017. In 2013, Chief Justice Willie Mutunga and the Supreme Court passed a judgment, which was legal, but above all, based on wisdom. Wisdom based on the political reality in the country. In 2017, Chief Justice David Maraga, in my opinion still a very great Kenyan, passed a ruling based totally on the legal issues and ignoring wisdom. That is really what it was. And I believe the events that followed those two rulings tell us very clearly, or rather show us very clearly, that Chief Justice Willie Mutunga's Supreme Court stuck to wisdom. I remember vividly in 2013, a very well-known activist, political activist in the country, just before the ruling was passed, called me, and they were very excited. And I asked them a very simple question. What will happen? Let's assume that Chief Justice Willie Mutunga nullifies the election of Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto in 2013. What happens after that? Because power abhors vacuum. And the response? No, Chris, it's okay. It's okay. Let them nullify the election. Things will be okay. Well, in 2017, a presidential election was nullified. Were things okay? Maybe they were, with the government machinery displaying brutal force to force things their way against the judiciary, against the Constitution. Many Kenyans, and this is very sad, are yet to realize that the whole intention of the BBI was to correct that situation. Many Kenyans are still in the dark and do not realize that by killing the BBI, what we're doing is setting the stage for 2013 and 2017, one of those versions, to be repeated. And when events unfold after the 2022 elections, you can be sure they're all going to be unconstitutional. But let us answer the question that is on everybody's mind, or rather the most pressing questions. Is the government able to use brute force to ensure that the BBI reggae continues and we go into a referendum? The answer to that question is yes. And for those doubting, I refer you back to 2017. Because in my view, the nullification of a presidential election, though it happened in 2017, was a much more complex issue to deal with than this latest BBI hiccup. Question number 2. Because the government has the power and the ability to make things happen, will they go ahead and save the BBI? My answer? I don't know. But I know it is human nature that when you try very hard to do some good and everybody reads mischief into it, the tendency to give up is very high. I have a nagging feeling that BBI kwisha maneno. I could be wrong, but I have that nagging feeling. And it is based on my understanding and dealing with politicians for decades. Because political ego could very easily kick in. Hao watu wanafikiri mimi siwezi fanya kitu bila BBI. Basi wacha mimi naonesha hao. BBI weka chini. Twende kiwanjani. Translation? You think BBI is my mother? Let's operate without it. You see, for the BBI to be saved right now, the biggest problem is time. You cannot change the constitution a year before a general election. And in August 2021, this year, it'll be a year before a general election. And so the question on some people's minds will be, is it worth the trouble? Is it worth all the acrobatics that need to happen? And some of these people will be asking this question, are old and tired and exhausted and looking for a legacy. The High Court ruling declaring the BBI process unconstitutional on 17 counts was very good for the judiciary. Very good for future protection of our constitution. However, in the short term and middle term, it was disaster for the ordinary Kenyan. It spells suffering going forward for the ordinary Kenyan. It means election trouble going forward for the ordinary Kenyan. Most who take in this channel will not bear the brunt of all the bad things that are sure to happen. They will witness it on their TV screens, in their air-conditioned, comfortable apartments, very far away from the trouble. Sadly, ordinary Kenyans who cannot even afford the bundles to take in my videos on YouTube will continue to be the pawns in this power game. But in my opinion, Almighty God has a very nasty surprise for you, you who are in comfort. Those of you who get excited when there's a demonstration, a violent one, brutal one, where some Kenyans lose their lives. Some of us get excited when that happens. Some of us are wishing for that. In my opinion, in 2022, it will not be business as usual. Jitayarishe ka rada. In future videos, I will continue to unpack and demonstrate what I mean. For now, before I sign off, kindly spare some time for the following message. While I try my very best to give you real value on this public channel and to give you all the valuable information I can, the truth is there's some information that is way too sensitive to share on this public channel. That information usually ends up in my weekly intelligence briefings, which is usually moto kama pasi. Just to give you a few examples, what really happened to former President of Tanzania, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli? Is it true that he passed on at a Nairobi hospital? Actually, the Magufuli inside story is nothing short of mind-boggling. Most people who have taken in my WIB number 52, which contains this information, have been left breathless. Even the most hardened cynics have been left bila words, if I can put it in the Kenyan way. Another example of a WIB that I published recently. There is a secret that those who are close to Raila Odinga have guarded and continue to guard with everything they have. Why is this particular secret so sensitive? And what is it anyway? It is contained in one of my WIBs. In fact, a recent one. And there's much more, including things you'd never imagine that are happening in the corridors of power that neatly explain what we see unfolding in the public domain. Bottom line, you will never look at Kenyan politics in the same way again after you become a WIB subscriber. Indeed, it is true to say that in most instances, the truth is stranger than fiction, and sometimes much more difficult to believe than fiction. But it remains the naked truth. And now you have a golden opportunity of becoming a weekly intelligence briefing subscriber on a monthly basis, which will automatically give you access to every single WIB ever produced. Oh yes, I will send you all the WIBs immediately you become a subscriber. And to become a monthly subscriber, all you need is $9.95 only, or Kenya shillings 995 only. Simply send a blank email to the email address you see on your screens right now, and you'll get an automated response via email instantly, within seconds, with full payment instructions. And what you need to do, the same full payment instructions are also included in the description area below this video on YouTube. I strongly recommend that you go for it, because this offer will not last for much longer. I really look forward to seeing you on the other side as a WIB subscriber. Thanks so much for your support. It means a lot to me. And I'm saying that very sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I look forward to seeing you on the other side as a WIB subscriber. Until next time, this is Kshs. Kumekucha.